Okay, hello. We are going to try this again. I am Christine Goat, your Surfing Your Edge coach, and I am inviting Traci Tobias to join me here today for a discussion about what we mean when we say surfing your edge and what the surfing your edge experience has meant to both of us. Traci was the very first person to ever sign up to go on the Surfing Your Edge retreat with me in Panama, and she's been with me every year ever since. So I am excited to have her on to share with us what it means to her. And I am getting a message that I have a low battery. Ah, there she is. Earphones. I think she can hear me.
I can hear you now.
Awesome. I am going to plug in my phone real quick.
Okay.
All right. And we will get this show on the road. Yay. Okay. Thank you for being with me today, Traci. I know this isn't your happy spot to be on camera, but I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
Okay, so when I say surfing your edge to you now, what does it mean to you?
Surfing your edge. It, now compared to
Well,
before.
just whatever. What do
Okay.
you think surfing your edge is these days?
Okay. Before I had no idea.
Right.
Now surfing your edge, to me is pushing your boundaries or your limits, stepping, out of or through your comfort zone. Doing the things. It's really interesting. My daughter stopped by just before we went live, and she asked me the exact same thing. What exactly is surfing your edge? And I said, I explained what surfing your edge was to you, and then I explained what it was to me. Yours was, surfing, being out in open water, even though you were a swimmer. And, mine was when I first went, leaving my son, doing something for me, spending money on
Yeah.
myself, flying into a foreign country by myself,
Yeah.
swimming in the ocean with things that I can eat, and walking through the rainforest that can eat.
Right.
So, this one was something for myself.
Yeah, I know it was hard for you. You were excited by when you saw my first post about the first retreat. I know you were excited about the possibility of the adventure, but what went through your head? What was your first response when you saw the invitation to come play?
Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing.
And then what happened? And then what thought followed that one?
Well, I can't do that. Maybe another time. I'm one of those people that it was like, okay, after my kids get older, after, I have the money saved up, after I get my house organized, clutter cleared, and, so on and so forth, then, I can do stuff for me, or then I can start living my life.
Right.
And, and then I live in the future. I'm never going to get there because it's always the future. So then I realized, I need to do this now because there's no promise that tomorrow's going to be here.
Right. I think the pandemic really proved that to us in a big way. It's like we had plans and the pandemic said, no, you don't.
Right, exactly. But,
So,
seeing that with a lot of people, especially, you and I, who went to school together, it's like, some of our friends aren't here anymore. One in particular just recently, and it was like, wait a minute, you know, plans. We all have plans.
right.
Let's live those plans
Right.
because not only the pandemic, but just
Life.
things in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, we never know what's around the corner. So,
Right.
so when you originally saw the post, I think you made a simple little comment about like, wouldn't that be fun? And I think I jumped on and said, would you like to have a conversation about it? And you're like, sure. And I think we talked about the fact that you didn't have the money. You um, didn't have anyone to watch your son. You'd never left your son alone before. That you were really looking to start your life as an adult woman pretty much when your son graduated from high school. You were looking 3 years into the future and thinking that I can start taking care of me and doing my thing then. And you also had no passport and hadn't traveled out of the country since college. So there were a lot of things that were stacking up, and they all seemed like reasonable reasons to not go on this trip with me. So what made you finally decide that you were going to say yes and figure out what would happen if you said yes?
Well, after you responded with, you should join my oldest son, who, oh my goodness, I was trying to think of how old he was at the time. Um, he had gone through college and so on and so forth, and he was staying with me for a bit. And I walked out of my bedroom after seeing your response and told him about it. And he looked at me and he goes, I think you should go, but those are your limits, Mom. And I was like, okay, because my kids, you can do and be anything you want. And they all have. Um, and I thought, I can't tell them one thing and do another. I'm not that person or that parent. You get a lot of parents that are like, do as I say, not as I do. And I'm like, no, I will lead by example. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So from there, I think I told you, I'll try if everything comes together. Um, I applied for a passport. My passport had expired. Um, gosh, a long time ago. The last time I had traveled the country was, what year was it? 1990. It was
Mm,
just before the fall of the
yeah.
Soviet Union. Yep, because that's where I went, was the former Soviet Union. And so my passport was expired. I applied for a passport. Within 10 days, I had gotten my passport. That doesn't happen. And yes, it was expedited, but still, that doesn't happen unless it's like, you're going to a funeral or something in another country. Randomly, and as you know and have mentioned numerous times, I'm pretty good at manifesting. $5,000 in my bank account. I'm really not sure where it came from to this day. Um, and I didn't need that much this adventure.
Right.
And I waited until the week before, because the last issue that I had was my son, who was 14 and still in high school. I didn't know what I was going to do with him. Again, he had never really left me for numerous reasons. He was my youngest. Um, and so I went to my sister, and she's like, oh yeah, sure. She worked at the school where he was going to school. Oh yeah, sure. I'll take him for you. So as soon as I put the first thing in motion, set the intention that I want to do this, and my why was my kids.
Yeah.
Everything fell
Yeah.
into place. I wanted to set the example for my kids.
I love that you wanted to set the example for your kids, but I think that when you actually got to Panama, um, the very first, like your first full day there, I think it started to shift to, oh, what could this mean for me? Right? What could it mean for
Yes.
you?
Yeah. I mean, again, my why is my kids, because I want them to live the life that they want to live, however that looks. I don't want things that hold me back. And again, I mentioned this to my daughter. I said, I never told my mom that I was going to do this until she started seeing the pictures on Facebook, because I knew I was going to get well, where are you getting the money for that? What are you going to do, with Evan, my young? Why would you want to go there?
Mm-hmm.
All of these
Right.
things. And why do I want to do this? Because I love travel. because I want to do something for me because I'm good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just got chills. So when you got there, I followed you around the first couple of days with a notebook, writing down the amazing things you said, because you said that, you flew in. Oh my gosh. Not only did you fly into Panama by yourself, but you flew in the middle of the night. And so it was dark outside, and you're flying into this foreign country, going through customs. And I had hired a car to bring you to the hotel where I was staying, where we would be staying together. And so here you are, just like looking for a sign with your name on it in the middle of the night, getting into a car with someone who didn't speak wonderful English, and just trusting that you were going to end up in a place where I was. And again, we hadn't seen each other in 20 something years. So it wasn't like I was your best friend and you knew everything about me and that it was all going to be okay. You were taking a leap of faith even on me. Um, so you show up in the middle of the night in this area where people are out on the street, right?
Yes.
People were out on the street all night long on the weekends, and you're just like driving into this place that you're thinking, is this the red light district? What is this place? But when you got there, after you survived all of that and your nervous system kind of settled down, you said to me that it was the most perfect feeling of freedom and possibility, just having flown to a new country where you could, on your own, and trying something for the first time.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Are you asking me a question
Yeah,
or do
well,
you want me to
not a
talk
very
about
good
that?
one. Can you say more about that feeling that you had, once you got there?
Yes. Okay. So, whole adventure. First of all, I took the worst airline ever. I took Spirit. Okay. So we'll start with that because I haven't flown, I haven't traveled, and I don't know how long. I didn't know what I was doing. And yes, I flew in the middle of the night and I was told people in Panama speak
Right.
English. Well,
That's what I was told.
then I had to go through customs. And customs coming into Panama, I have this little piece of paper to fill out. And it's like, are you bringing food into the country? Well, I think I had like peanut M&Ms and gum and so I'm coming through customs. And prior to going, I had spoken with somebody that's in the military here in Intel, and he had told me that there was no way I could go to Panama because it was a fourth world country and I'd never come back. So here I am going, okay. And as I'm flying in and looking out at the plane window and seeing the lights and thinking, I don't think I can go back now. I get into customs and I have my little piece of paper and I didn't know what to write for the peanut M&Ms and my gum. And the person that I'm with does not speak English. I'll tell you, the people in Panama are so much friendlier than through customs in the United States. Her and I are laughing and pointing, and we just it was fine. It wasn't a big deal. And so then go through again, the person to pick me up. I'm like getting a hold of you. I didn't know Anne at the time who was there, who spoke Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a hold of you. My driver isn't there. Well, it's because he was there. He just had Anne's name on the sign. And finally, we figured that out. The taxi is more like an Uber type of thing. And he didn't speak English. He was the nicest guy. I felt absolutely wonderful driving through Panama City. There was Planet Fitness and, to the other side. And like you said, I felt like I was in the red light district. I had been in the red light district when I was in Copenhagen, Denmark before. And when I came into, it was the
Right.
historic section of Panama City, correct?
Yeah, it
And
was.
I tried to say Casco Viejo. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I did say it. Okay. I'm horrible with Spanish. So, I mean, I'm not, but I am. I can understand better than speaking. So literally there was a sucra shop, which is a sugar shop, and it's not what I thought it was. And people, like you said, in the streets and music, and but there were kids, and I'm like, what is going on? And it was the weekend. And then we find out everybody's always out on the weekend, just having a heyday. And we pull into this little alley, and all I could think of is, oh my gosh, I'm being kidnapped.
This is where it ends.
And yes, and we get out, and I look in the door. This is where, the Magnolia Inn, and this is where, my driver said I was supposed to go, and you're on the other side. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And from that moment on, it was just, it's not necessarily freedom. It was feeling free. It was feeling excitement. It was feeling exhilaration. Like, oh my gosh, I'm living my life again.
Right.
I hadn't felt that in so long. It was always, I need to do the right thing. I need to make sure my kids are taken care of. I need to make sure, whatever. Play by the rules, do the right thing, put everybody first. And it was like, oh my gosh, just being able to live again. It was, I can live, I can be happy and excited and do this.
Yeah.
That help a
Absolutely.
little bit? Expand on everything. And from there, I mean, it was just one thing after another. Did I ever think, I never wanted to surf, and then I didn't even want to go in the ocean when I saw, all these people getting, attacked by sharks, not in Panama, but it was Florida, and Hawaii. And I swam in the ocean in Hawaii after that too. Yeah. And just, did I think I'd walk up on a crocodile and take its picture? No, I did not. But guess what? I did.
Yeah. If people are watching and they think that it sounds like I just put, Traci in a whole bunch of danger, I don't think I did that. I mean, all of it is very calculated risks, right? We go places where lots of tourists go, and we are surfing on a baby beach because the whole reason I created the Surfing Your Edge experience in the first place is that I've been terrified of open water my whole life, and I wanted to do something big and scary to test myself and to try to deal with that fear. So for me, the surfing part and the being out in the waves, just being out in the ocean, with those giant, they're not giant, but they feel giant, powerful waves, was what terrified me. For you, you weren't necessarily terrified of the surfing. It was just like, oh, I've never thought of doing that, but okay, let's go play. And, it was the other things that scared you, the leaving your son in particular.
Right.
So everybody who comes on this has a different fear. It's not always the fear of open water, although we have had a couple of people who've been nervous around, the snorkeling and things like that. So it's really you're surfing whatever edge you have when you sign up for this. And I don't think any of us are ever really surfing exactly the same edge. We've all got our own. And there was something else I wanted to say before I went off on a tangent, and now I don't remember.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. That beach, the waves, if you've ever been to Florida, it's not any worse than the waves that I mean, as kids, we used to, my brother and sister would go jump in the waves or body surf the waves.
Yeah.
It is shallow. We never over our head. You can if you want, but we never have.
Right.
It's just the waves come in a long distance. So if or when you get up on your surfboard, you have that distance to stand on it. Literally, you jump off and you're in knee-deep water. Some of the pictures I posted make me look like I'm a professional surfer. One of them, if you look in the background, you see all the people standing out deeper than I am. I'm like, and it's the same thing with, so many people swimming in the ocean. You hear all the bad things. You don't hear all the good things. And right. And so, I mean, all of this, I'm trying to think, ever when I was there, I felt exhilaration, you know, excitement.
You cut out there for a minute. Did you say you never felt unsafe?
I never felt, no, I didn't feel unsafe.
Awesome.
You know, even when we were in the little boat traversing the
Right,
waves, you
right,
know, I mean, these people do this all the
right.
time, you know. I mean, again, and I don't know if you heard the part where it was like what I did feel was the excitement and the
Yeah,
exhilaration,
I did
you
hear
know.
that.
And and the whole thing is I started to live again. And when I came back, I brought that back with me
Yes,
to, you know, that was the thing. It was like before I was playing small. I was playing by the
right.
rules. I was being the person everybody thought of me. When I'm like, hey, it's me. Look, I'm back.
And you're wearing your Surfing Your Edge shirt. I just saw the
I'm
top of
wearing
it.
my surfer. Yeah. You know,
Awesome.
it
And
goes with
that's,
it. It goes with the
yeah,
broadcast.
and that's part of what I think sets this retreat apart. As you know, aside from the fact that it's an adventure retreat where we, you know, take beginner surf lessons, we snorkel around, you know, these really beautiful, pristine islands. And, you know, what else do we do? This year, there's going to be some paddleboarding and some,
We eat
some,
really cool and amazing and yummy food.
yes. And then we also come home, like you said, and we bring home everything that we learned about ourselves on that trip. And we are able to then use that to make the changes in our lives that we want to. And that was really important for me because there have been so many trips I've gone on that I thought, oh, this is going to be life changing, right? But the life change doesn't happen if you don't come home and change your life. And so we stay together as a group and support each other, um, and really help hold on to that vision that we had for our lives when we were together physically. You know, we help hold that for each other because not all of us have people in our lives who are going to support our changing and, you know, being willing to try new things. So that continued support, I think, is what really sets us apart. And this year we have 3 months of continued support with the retreat. We also have a brand new program that's called More Than Enough that is to help you deal with all of those feelings of not being good enough, of not feeling worthy, of of feeling like the time is past, right? Either I'm not ready or it's too late, right? We fall on one of those sides or
Right.
the other often. So we've got a program in here after we come home that will help deal with that. And then I've got a year after the 3 months of our, you know, our retreat wrap up together. We're going to stay together for another year and do a Surfing Your Edge, a brand new Surfing Your Edge year-long coaching program that's going to have 3 meetings a month. One's going to be about mindset. One's going to be about whatever issues are up for you. And another one is going to be implementation. So you're actually taking steps while we're on Zoom together. You're actually doing the things that you want to do that are going to move your life forward. So this is the most powerful experience I've ever created, and I'm so excited. Not only because we have the retreat dialed in to a really high level and everything we do is awesome, but then when we get home, we're going to have an incredible experience together as well. So, Traci, why do you keep coming back?
Well, for a lot of the reasons I said, it brings me into the present. It
Mm,
brings me into, you know, living my life for me. And what I've realized, um, because I think Surfing Your Edge retreat was the start of my growth. In the past, I always gave and gave and gave, you know, to the point of burning myself out in total, you know, depletion, exhaustion, and it still wasn't enough.
mm,
You know, the not good enough.
Mm.
And since the first retreat that I went on, I've done numerous programs, actually to I am in, and I just lost my train of thought. Well, that was weird. Again, the whole tangent thing, and then I'm like, now what was I saying? Um, oh, and and what I've realized is I need to keep filling
Mhm.
my cup. The more I fill my cup, the more I'm able to give. Fill, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I always had an empty cup
Yeah,
and just thought I wasn't
right.
good enough. So I keep coming back to doing this because I feel like it's more of it fills my cup, and it's more of a collaboration. Working with you and the other people that have gone on the retreat, we have that connection and bond and support system, and girl
Mhm.
gang, if you want
Yes.
to call it that, that it's like, hey, I have this idea, can I run this by you? Or hey, let's just chat about whatever is going on. Or you know just the
Mhm.
connection. And it's you do this, you know, every year. So other retreats, it's like you get a bunch of people together, you go on the retreat, you part ways. This one continues to build.
Thank you. Yes. And yeah, you've seen every iteration of it, right? You were my beta tester. It was just you and me and Anne. And Anne is the person who originally convinced me that Panama was the place to go. She's an American who was an expat living in Panama, and she had pioneered the whale and dolphin watching industry there. So when when she heard me say to a group of people that I wanted to take people to learn to surf in Costa Rica, she's like, no, come to Panama. We've got even more biodiversity. We've got the mama humpback whales that come down and give birth and to their babies in the summertime. So you'll see the whales and the dolphins, and it's beautiful, and they are used to Americans there because we were there for so long building the canal, and they use American dollars, and it'll be awesome. So now where was I going?
People,
Yeah,
the people there, you were saying that are wonderful.
they
They're
are.
absolutely amazing. You hear of a lot of countries that don't like Americans, and the people of Panama, I haven't met one person there that, I mean, and even last year, it was like, whatever the situation was with making the reservations and whatever, and they bend over backwards to
Yeah,
be helpful and make you feel
they really
welcome.
do. Yeah, so we were, the very first year we went, it was you, me, and Anne, and we were just trusting that Anne knew what she was talking about when it came to Panama, and she did. But you were my first test case, right? You were my first, let's see if this works, right? Is this a powerful thing to try? And does this bring around about the personal transformation that I want for my people? And so you saw it from the very beginning, and every year it's gotten just a little bit better, I think. We added in some Latin dance lessons with various instructors with various levels of English.
But that's part of the experience.
Yeah,
It's like I've I've learned different languages. I've learned French, I've learned Spanish, and I've learned a little bit of Russian.
mhm.
Don't ask me to speak any of those because I just feel like I sound, you know,
Yeah,
illiterate
right.
speaking another
I hear you.
language. But going to Panama, again, the people are helpful, and it's the communication. You can't communicate with everybody. It's like communicating with a child.
Mm,
You figure out how to make it work.
right.
And and that's part of the experience. That's part of, I came through customs thinking I was going to jail because I was bringing peanut M&Ms into Panama, and it was, it was the exact opposite. It was, let's, let's figure this out, and I will make you feel
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
It didn't really look like, I had contraband or something, or was doing something
Right.
illegal. So the person coming through customs, I felt like she was working with me instead of, oh my gosh, you come into the United States and you have dogs sniffing you,
Right.
and men barking at you, and I'm just like, I guess the dogs should be barking, but it wasn't. It was the guy that had the dog, and I'm just, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I feel so much more welcome.
Yeah. 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 So I appreciate,
Okay, so
no, I appreciate that you have been there with me and watched it evolve. And last year, I feel like we added really the cherry on top, which was our final hotel. We're staying in it's a historic building that was taken over by a hotel chain, and it's the Sofitel Legend, right in the heart of the oldest part of Panama City. And for me, that just was a little bit of luxury after, the other things we'd been through. And when I say been through, that's probably not the right term, because we do an eco lodge for a couple of days at the beginning, and then we're on a surf lodge on the Pacific Ocean for a week. And it's just, those are they're not luxury. They're lovely, but they're not luxury.
Gamboa is an eco lodge.
Yeah, that's what they call
Gamboa
themselves.
is a resort. I'm like, what? It's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it is amazing. That's where we get to hear the howler monkeys. And if you've seen some of Traci's videos this year, she posted the videos of the howler monkeys that came down. We took a tour of the Panama Canal in a much smaller boat than most of the boats that go through there. And we're able to see howler monkeys and capuchin monkeys and bats and caiman and turtles and all kinds of fun things. So yeah, we do. That is our rainforest experience. Oh, and the parrots. I love the parrots. For some reason, I never see them leave in the morning, but every night at sunset around 6 o'clock, they all come back and fight for space in the trees around the resort. And so they just make all of this noise, and it just makes me so happy.
And Gamboa also has like the sloth
Right.
sanctuary. For those the people that live around me, we have deer that get hit in the road. They have sloths that get hit in the road or have other issues, and they rehabilitate. Why can I talk?
Yeah.
Rehabilitate those. And I have pictures of them too, because the ones that, are able, they will put them out so people can see, what they're doing.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, and there's other things at Gamboa too, besides the great big huge pool with the swim up bar.
Right. Right. Yes.
Uh,
And yeah, and there's the lake, and then behind it is a mountain, and um, I have the fondest memories of just sitting in a rainstorm with you and Sherry and watching the rain pour, and just, watching the clouds change across that mountain for just hours, and just the emotion, the physical reset of just sitting there and watching that natural process, and listening to the rain and having great company. It was just, that is one of my favorite cherished memories of all. And it wasn't anything you couldn't do in the US, but we were doing it together in a rainforest, in a rainstorm. And it was really moving for me.
and I think what you just said, the whole reset,
Mm.
you know, that's exactly, we talk about all the adventure and the excitement, but it's a reset. There's like me, um, laying in the hammock
Mm-hmm.
and listening to the rain, or listening to, the birds or whatever. I mean, just like doing yoga, we did,
Yeah.
and you could hear the waves, and you could, I think one time it
Mm-hmm.
was raining. I mean, it's just completely resetting your entire system. So we go through so much in our lives, especially like now at this age, and we've had so many experiences with people and careers, and some of us kids, and things. It's like you have to get back to your
Yeah.
child self, where the awe, you know, like you just, it's like the awe, the dreaming. We can still do that,
Mm-hmm.
but we're programmed and taught that we can't. We have to, me and my quotes, we have to be this person that everybody thinks we should be. And that's another conversation I've had with my kids recently was, you don't have to be what everybody thinks you should be. You need to be who you
Right.
want to be. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else,
Right.
be you. And we're programmed from the time we're little to not be us anymore.
Yeah.
And just that whole awe and sitting in a rainforest. Yeah, we can do it here. There's in the it takes you out of this environment and
Yes.
resets your entire system.
Right.
So
That's
there's that.
Yeah, and I think that's really key, right? It's we can work on ourselves in our everyday lives, but we get there so much faster if we get out of our everyday lives and really get a different perspective. And in this instance, you're in a new country, you're with people you haven't been with before, who don't know you. So you're a blank slate, right? You can be whoever you want to be and really dive deep into your own dreams and what's possible. And it gives you, and the other thing I find is that when you're in a new space, one of the things I love about travel is that you get to experience yourself as a different person, right? You're seeing yourself through new eyes and seeing how other people reflect who you are back to you, right? So I don't know. I just think that there are so many layers that I built into this retreat, and they're all intentional, but they're not always necessarily visible, right? But the getting away, the getting into nature, the meeting new people, the seeing yourself through new eyes, the play, right? That's what I wanted to come back to with the surfing. It's not about the surfing, right? There are 4 surf lessons in the whole 8-day experience. So the other days, we're doing other things. We're doing yoga, we're going snorkeling, we're, like you said, eating great food and talking and, playing in the pool or hanging in the hammock or whatever. But so it sounds like, because of the name, Surfing Your Edge, it sounds like it's all about learning to surf, but it's really about playing. Because when you play, again, that's a reset. It sets you into flow, and it teaches you. It's something we don't take a lot of time for in our everyday lives, which my clients are encouraged to always try to find ways to play. But it's just a new way to play and a new way to, again, experience yourself and remember what it was like to just do something because it looked like fun. And it doesn't matter if you're good at it or if you ever stand up, although everyone that has gone with us has stood, even if it's just for a micro second. But it's really just about play and trying new things and seeing yourself in a new way.
Couple questions. You just mentioned flow. So for people that might not know what that means, because I know some people don't know what flow is, what is flow?
Flow is a state of being that is accessible to all of us, and we've all been in this state before. And it's where you are in a state of heightened experience and higher performance. Your part of your brain, the part of your brain that actually has that little critical voice in it, that little part of your brain actually shuts down when you go into flow. So you can be 100% engaged in the activity that you're in and get so much more accomplished than you would if your whole brain was sitting there going, oh, but you're not doing that right. Oh, you're, you can't say it that way. So it's a flow, it's a state of, for the most part, a state of enjoyment where you are primed for high performance.
So is it kind of like if you're in flow and everything seems easy and comes
Right,
naturally, is
right.
that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah.
Just to clarify. So
So
yeah.
yeah. And
And
yeah,
go ahead.
go
Did you
ahead.
have something else to say?
You.
Okay. So, well, the other thing that I wanted to comment on was when you hear about, okay, we're surfing on surfboards. We are, you know, walking, maybe hiking, not hiking, we're hiking, rain experience. We are, and people are like, oh, I'm not in shape for that. Or, I swim well, or whatever the case may be, I don't think I can do it because I'm not in good enough shape,
Mm-hmm.
or, whatever. Um, I know you have, because I know you have comments about all of that, because we all have had those issues. We're not running a marathon or professionally
Right.
surfing. So if you want to just kind of.
Yeah. There is nothing, one of my coaches right now just came back from a trip to Costa Rica where her husband signed the two of them up for this experience where they had to cross a river and then go through a cave and climb inside this cave up a slimy up a slimy wall to get to see this site at the top, and then there was this other place where they had to traverse through these very narrow um, rocks, and she got to a point where she was like, there's no way, there's no stopping here, right? We can't go back, we're in this. And in the trip that we take on Surfing Your Edge, there's really none of that. There's none of this, oh my gosh, I have to keep going forward because there's no way back. You can choose to go on your surf lesson, you can choose to stay in the hammock, you can go out on your surfboard and ride in on your belly, and our instructor will insist that that is surfing because it is part of the official international surfing definition. So you can adjust the surfing to your level of comfort. You can, for the snorkeling, the first 2 years I kind of stayed close to the beach where the boat landed, and everyone else kind of went off and did their thing. So I played around in shallower water. And last year we had someone who was a little nervous about being in deep water, and she just left her life jacket on, and we all went snorkeling with the big kids out in the deeper water. That was a first for me, so that was super exciting. So aside from the fact that once you're in the boat, you're kind of in the boat, um, there's really nothing that you can't modify for your own comfort level. And really, learning where your comfort level is an important thing too, right? Because there have been, you know, we think, oh, I should be able to do this. And so you might push yourself harder than you really want to. Or you might, I just think that learning to respect your own boundaries and make your own decisions about where you feel safe is an important thing to play with. And you don't know where those boundaries are if you don't go out and push and play a little bit. Does that make sense?
And I think, yeah, and I think kind of, to go along with that, it's like, yes, your health, you know, allows you to go do something, but you have fear. That's what we're all here for, is to help you and support you with pushing through the fear and pushing through your comfort zone and surfing your edge
Right.
without anything being
Yeah.
detrimental. You may have a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of apprehension because that's the you're pushing that, but you have all the love and support,
Right.
and nobody's pushing you to do something. Just like the first year, it was like, "Hey, that's open water and that's, there's, I don't know." And you were absolutely fine. And nobody pushed you to go snorkel around the island,
Right.
and
Right.
and I think Sherry did the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The second year
So,
we
and
stayed
that's
together.
absolutely, but last year, like you said, you went out in the deep water, in things in the shallow water, but there's things in, it's an ocean. There's things all over,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, it's not like people are going to push you to an extreme, or if it's a health issue,
Mhm.
whether it's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know last year I was in a lot worse shape than I was the first time I went. And I felt like there was absolutely no way that, and I didn't have I wanted to do it myself, because before we were having the surf held and kind of being
Right.
pushed. And I wanted to learn how to catch a wave myself,
Mm.
which isn't necessarily the easiest thing. So last year, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't get up. I mean, I did, but not consistently. I felt like, I need to get up consistently. And I'm like, holy cow. And the whole trying to figure out how to catch a wave,
Mm.
like which one? This one just disappeared. This one just turned into a monster, and this one just rolled
Right.
forever. It's kind of that thing. So, you know, it, a lot of it is you do what you can do the way that you do it. You, like I said, I wanted to be able to do this. We're gonna support and encourage, and help you get past those limits.
Right.
The whole limiting belief thing.
Yeah. And like our yoga is gentle and can be adapted for you. I know the second year we added in the yoga, and one of the participants had never done yoga before, and when it was all over, she's like, how can I learn where can I do this at home, right? So it was super gentle. Our surf instructors are super kind, and like one of them last year, I was afraid to duck under the wave. It was my third year on this retreat, and I was still, these big waves were coming, and he's like, just duck under. And I'm like, like I'm keeping my head above the water. And so he held my hand and went under the wave with me, so it is an adventure retreat, but it is so much, like you say, a supportive, choose your own level of adventure retreat.
Right. And it's an adventure, but there's also the reset. It seems to encompass everything. I think that's why I'm so, it, it makes me so energized or excited, because, it's a bit of everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's
it
really,
continues to build.
yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. Is there anything that we've missed? We've been on here for about an hour at this point. Is there anything we've missed?
Oh, even with my fiasco of the whole situation, and I apologize for that. We had a weather event yesterday, and the wind took out about everything, including the
Oh
internet
no.
and my pear tree.
Oh
So,
no.
and half my garden, the garden back, everything was blown over. Our power was out, and I didn't know if we were going to have power, but it came back on, and everything's good. So, um, but if someone wants more information, is interested, or wants to join us,
Yeah, I can put a link in the comments below after we're done here, so you can go read more about it. Obviously, Traci has got a bunch of pictures on her Facebook page. I've got some on mine as well. We're starting, we're wrapping up enrollment for the program on July 1st, because I have a guest coming to speak on July 1st who wants to talk about It's someone who has worked with me for a year, and we've been talking about, okay, I'll just say this. She's my coach, right? She's been helping me build my business for the last year, and we've been talking about what surfing your edge is for a year. And she's the one who just went on the Costa Rica trip and found herself in that situation of, oh my God, I'm terrified and I have to keep going forward. And there's, because there's just no way back. And she came home from that trip and she's like, I have to talk to your people. She's like, I have to tell them that I finally understand what surfing your edge means and why it's so important. She's like, so we will be talking on Monday about that. So we're going to be wrapping up registrations for the trip in July, on July 1st, because we need to have our first meeting, a group meeting in July, and start getting to know each other before we go on the trip. The dates for the trip this year are August 17th through the 23rd. So you would fly in on Saturday. We would pick you up at the airport and take you to our first eco hotel in Gamboa. And we'd spend 2 days there. And then we will go to Veraguas, which is in the middle of Panama on the southern side on the Pacific Ocean. And we'll have 4 days of surf lessons and a day of snorkeling and some other adventures depending on the weather, but hopefully the other adventures will include some stand-up paddleboarding and some kayaking. And then we'll come back and we'll spend our last evening together in the heart of Panama, of Casco Viejo, the old part of Panama City, in that wonderful French luxury hotel with a beautiful pool right on the ocean again, so you can see the boats, the ships lining up for the Panama Canal. And then we'll come home and we'll have more than a year together to keep the momentum and really start to change your life to the bigger, bolder, badass life you know you were born for. All right. Did I miss anything now? All right, you're laughing at me. Are we good?
No, my phone was kind of freezing. So
Okay.
I can hear you or you're frozen. Okay. So I wasn't quite sure what you were saying. But yes, we are good. And if you would like to do a post with a bunch of pictures, if I can do it on the page, I can. My albums, as well as all of the posts on my page, are public. So even if I'm not friends with someone, they can post also videos and pictures. And I'm going to continue to post more of the pictures from last year. I am real good with my phone. I'm not very good with my camera, and I have like underwater pictures and island pictures and stuff like that on my camera.
Oh, I can't wait to see your underwater photos. I haven't figured that part out yet, so that's awesome.
Right. I just have to be able to get my computer to work.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All right. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Traci, for taking time to be here today. And for all of your continuing support. You have been just the most amazing person to have on this adventure with me. And I just love you to death and am so grateful for you continuing to push me to make this happen and to invite more people and make it grow.
Well, I'm thankful that you created this because it is a life-changing adventure. And I'm so thankful.
All righty. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Please leave us any questions or comments below, and we will hopefully have you on a plane with us to Panama in a couple of months. All right. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm wishing you all wonder. Thank you so much. Bye.